Okay, hello and welcome to the Kegel Training Center. This is instructor Stephen Padilla. I get a chance to do some work with a student who was here just recently, Mr. Dan Shank. We're going to do some video analysis on some of the things we talked about while he was here. I'm going to get a chance to show him some of the items we worked on, review a couple different angles, and give him a couple different things to take to his practice sessions while he's playing. I already got a chance to talk to Dan recently, and he's had some great success already with some of the things he's learned here. Certainly enjoyed the time we got to spend together, and let's go right into taking a look at what Dan brought to us here and what the game looks like so we can start talking about some of our adjustments. Right under Dan's name right here. And we'll start with the original front, side, and back view that Dan showed up with. And we'll get to the lines and the drawings here real shortly. We'll let these play at regular speed. Dan has a lot of power, a lot of strength. We could see right away that he had a lot of revolutions, and that's very beneficial, especially bowling in easier conditions, maybe houser and softer conditions. It can also help when the lanes open up during tournaments in tough conditions. So we recognized right away that he had a lot going on, but we still caught the fact that he's going to lose balance a little bit at the bottom of the swing. He'll step out occasionally, and that was one of the issues we really wanted to address. We're going to slow this down. Now, we readjusted the body quite a bit in different places. We also took some different size steps, and we'll see that from the side view. We were able to adjust a little bit of the grip, and along with this disc that you're going to have here, we'll have that bowling ball to go with you so you can take that to tournaments too. So right away, let's just quick start at the beginning position. You'll see the ball starting off the right shoulder, left hand on top, both feet apart, and then the right foot slightly in front of or slightly behind the left. Step one's momentum step, and you'll see that his major step was to move the right shoulder and ball in at the same time. So immediately that swing starts inside of the body, and then on most occasions that's going to swing back outside around the shoulder, which if it's not corrected at the top on the back of the swing, that can get in the way of accuracy. So we'll watch this for a second. It's going to push in dead to the inside of the leg, cross over on the second step. Left hand starts to separate and the right shoulder drops down. So into the downswing now. You see the hand stay behind real strong. A lot of what happened here was Dan was pulling a lot in the bottom of the swing and not letting the swing stay loose. So into the downswing, you'll see step three. The ball's going to separate from the body. And as he continues into the backswing, the shoulder and elbow roll in, causing the ball to get right in line behind the right shoulder and behind the head. Power step points the body right back toward his target, left hand out to balance the swing, and now as he follows through, you see the left foot slide, strong power step, and then he'll raise up with the knee on the bottom of the swing. Never quite get to the floor as solid as he wants to, and that'll cause inaccuracy with the ball being so far inside of his head at the bottom of the swing from the movements that he's created. We'll watch the side view here. Again, a five-step approach that uses a lot of the toes and calves to balance at the bottom of the swing. Still a good tempo overall. Got a very good rhythm for what he was working with. We worked a little bit. You'll see that small pink area there. We're talking about his knee bend at the bottom. We wanted to try and accelerate that so that he was not only closer to the line, but that he compressed the knee more as he followed through on his release in the swing. And another thing that we wanted to touch base on was we want to keep this down as much as possible. The more that kicks up, the more Dan was tilting forward and getting the shoulders too far forward. The more we'll be able to get that to the floor, the better off our follow through in our finished position. So you'll see the knee follow the blue line right there. It'll chase down the floor, and he'll wind up with a little better posture in some of the videos we see down the road. Now here's the release. We'll let this play through a couple times too. Had a tough time starting out trying to find a good follow-through position and good ball reaction shot because we were falling off the shot. we really focus on just what the hand's doing at the bottom of the swing. Fingers are very low on the ball. He's got a lot of wrist rotation. Now, one of the biggest assets to Dan's game is that as he follows through, the wrist unloads and the hand stays behind the shot, giving him extra revolutions in the direction of his path. So he hits the ball a lot like maybe a Robert Smith or a Tommy Jones right there, but the inaccuracy comes from falling off the balance. So balance was a big issue we really touched base on and made sure we had that under control by the time we left here. Again, the finger's nice and low, and the ball in close to the left ankle. Ball swing direction off the hand, headed right of the 10 pin. You see ball reaction pick up somewhere about 3/4 of the way down lane and then hook back to the left through the pocket, in this case with a solid strike. Now let's take a quick look. We'll go into a couple of shots that were later on during the session. Really focused on getting the body solid at the bottom of the swing. So one of the things right away that we really touched base on was as he slid and followed through, keep that knee flexed forward and keep the right leg down as much as possible. Here was the original. See how high Dan's head is to the soffit I've got back here in the back. A small area there where he's actually lower, he's compressing his knee even more. I'll show this on the side view here too. See the knee bend through. The trail leg now follows through as the right knee catches up to the left and the toe hits the floor. See the body position in a lot stronger spot all the way through. And you're just holding or posting the shot through the target, that's all. There's the old one. Where the body gets thrust to the right, you have to step out quickly. And here was the newer.
I think it's going to be
anywhere over there is good. We also noticed that being lower to the floor, our ball reaction and our release were closer. Being smooth off the hand. See the original right there. And you'll see the new one. See the projection into the floor more, off the hand smoother right there, where there's obvious lift on this shot as you're letting go. Again, holding the balance position much better, at least for the ball to get down through the pins. In this case, slinging the pins pretty good, like a lot of the top guys on tour. We're going to abandon this for just a second. We're going to go in and just take a look at some of the front views. Just kind of go through our progression here. Here was the original, and you'll see that the ball's inside the shoulder a little bit more. We've actually moved the ball to the right. We got you outside on your swing a little bit more. We brought the feet a little closer together, and we moved the feet so that they now point toward our target a little bit more. So that ultimately we don't have to realign ourselves in our swing somewhere. We see a more compact version right here of Dan at the bottom of the swing, and we certainly are able to stay down low in the shot here. Now, not quite comfortable enough following all the way through. You'll see that he gets inside deep, the hand crosses and the elbow flies out. That's one thing we want to touch base on in the future, Dan. We don't want to feel like that elbow gets protruded to the right ear, slung out by the right ear too much. I'm going to pull up a quick tour shot of one of the guys that hits it pretty hard out there. Tommy Jones is probably his highest rev rate on tour right now. He and Robert Smith. And as they follow through, you still see the arm and elbow stay up by the side of the head. So even though the ball stays inside, everything follows through clean toward the target. So careful not to use too much hand to try to make the ball turn it at the side. Everything can still stay behind the ball and get to your target with the right matchup, right friction amount.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Chris.
He does that too. Here's where he gets his revs. He's like this.
Tommy's hand at the top of the swing is certainly inside, and what that is he's covering the inside half of the ball with his hand at the bottom of the swing. He's going to swing through smooth. His elbow and wrist are going to unload, and he'll follow through nice and straight with a lot of rev up the back of the ball.
He don't try to do anything to the ball, does he? He just does it. He just goes through it, right?
So careful not to use your fingers too much going through the bottom of the swing. You just want the hand and wrist to unload, and you want to hit up the back of the ball more than you want to hit to the side of it. That's what that elbow is telling me, is that you're hitting to the side of the ball at the bottom. The fingers come to the side. You're trying to hit it to go left with it, but ultimately you just want to stay behind it. Let's go and take a look at some of the side views we captured of you, Dan. Start with these four. This is the original we saw a little earlier. Top left-hand side of the screen. There's a little bit of work on where the feet go and how the ball pushes away, and making sure that we stay smooth. Get our push away clean toward our target and try to get our knees to come up underneath this real smooth. We also addressed a little bit of the idea of getting closer to the foul line. We know that you're strong enough to get the ball over the foul line, but we didn't want to feel like we had to heave it. Maybe that's part of the reason we released from such a high position. Here comes a little later on in that day. There's a lot of compression at the bottom of that swing, trying to maintain ball position and targeting. Drew that yellow box in there to try and remind you to keep the foot down as much as possible. The longer you can keep it inside of there, the better accuracy and the better control you had over your balance. You see we're a touch closer at the foul line here at the bottom of these swings, and you'll see everything is real clean going through the bottom now. You don't lift up through the shot, causing your accuracy to go left and right as much as you're just following through, giving yourself a smoother position at the bottom of the swing. So once again, real clean down through the bottom, drop the trail leg behind you, and that's really what we were working on. Just getting the push away to stay round, top of the swing smooth, and at the bottom compress, bend and follow through so that you really sit down at the bottom of that shot. Far cry from where we were whenever we started. Certainly not having to hold our balance a whole lot. Because now we have better balance and better leverage. We'll clear out the originals here for a second, and we'll drop in the last two sides we captured. We had you leaning back quite a bit. We didn't want you to lean too far forward, so we actually got a little bit more into our shoulders staying behind us. We got our right leg open now, and as you follow through, that's a shot maybe we don't want to model after too much. That's got a little too much rock forward to back. backward to forward from the start position to the finish, and the footwork didn't stay underneath us very solid. Let's go over to the right here. And there's one of the shots that kind of heaved. This is the beginning of day one, and a little bit of what used to happen still there in your swing. So we certainly want to stay away from that. This is the bowler we'd like to see somewhere down the road. Last but not least, we're going to touch base on your releases here. There's 3 different versions, and once again, here was the original. Again, tough to see reaction, but ultimately we can still see what happens with the ball off the hand. So plenty of revs there. Ball, see the hands swing out and back in from a far position out to the right. Now we're laying the ball down smoother. There's much more the Tommy Jones-ish roll and release. Not that we're trying to make you that guy, but certainly got to take a note from what he was doing, because your reaction and pin reaction looked just like his in a couple of the shots we captured while he was here. See the head pin get across that lane pretty fast and come back. So ultimately, both you and Tommy's hand doing the same thing off the bottom of the swing. He just being a touch lower than you are, but that's how the ball's driving through the pocket, straight through the 1-3, and then in this case finishing behind the 9. But ultimately finishing its roll before it gets there, strong enough to be able to take pin carry out. And I know you've seen the Tournament of Champions already this year, and you watch Tommy do his thing out there on those lane conditions. That kind of a drive through the back of the lane is really what carried on some of those shots there everybody was talking about. You see Tommy finishing the same window that you finish in right there. A little light of the head pin, straighter back through the 9 pin right there. A lot of people think Tommy hits it sideways, getting the ball to go right to left, but ultimately he's just kind of standing it up face to face in the pocket. Much like you can get to right there. Dan, I hope this gives you a quick idea of some of the things we worked on. I'd like you to feel free to give me a ring if you'd like to get back to me and maybe touch base down the road. I know that things that you've been doing have been working out well for you. I'm sure of it because you're such a hard worker and you did a great job while you were here. Please feel free to keep in touch. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to give us a call, and thanks again for letting us send this to you from the Kegel Training Center.